Water bosses are to face bans on bonuses, but the move is too weak and feasible, says the Liberal Democrats. I'm going to read into this more from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Sky News with the headline that water bosses are to face a ban on bonuses, but the move is too weak and feasible, says the Liberal Democrats. There has been outrage around illegal sewage dumping and calls by Labour and the Liberal Democrats to enforce the policy sooner, as water firms in England plan to hike customers' bills by an extra £156 a year to invest in Britain's Victorian infrastructure. Guys, before I give my initial thoughts, if you can, hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So, we've talked various times on various different stories about the water companies and the sewage that is being blasted out by these companies and the damage, the untold damage that has been caused in our environment in England and even some parts of Wales. Not so much in Scotland, because guess what? Scotland's water is state-owned. Wouldn't believe there's such a thing, would you? But there you go. And instead of the companies responsible for looking after our water companies actually dealing with the sewage problem, they're basically saying, no, the public should be paying for it, which I think is, there's two words that come to my mind, but I don't really want to say them here. I'll probably say it on Patreon if I do a video about water companies and tell them where to stick it. But I think you can guess what the words that come to mind when I think about them, when they're telling us that we should pay for the damage that is being made by the shit that's pouring in our sewers and everywhere. But in particular, guys, this headline about ban on bonuses, it's too weak. And the simple fact is, it's too weak. It's too weak. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, you're going to deny them bonuses, which is great. Yeah, because we don't think they should be entitled to any bonuses anyway, considering the damage that they have caused. But it's not like they're facing any criminal charges or any criminal prosecution, these executives who are responsible for these water companies. It's not like anyone's being held truly accountable here. There seems to be no accountability whatsoever when it comes to these water companies. There's a lot of anger, there's a lot of frustration. There are some places, in there, believe it or not, where people are still going in the water, where it's not too bad, is my understanding, but there are some places where people have done it and they've ended up being sick because it's been poured out into the seas, which is really, really bad, especially near beaches and whatnot. Yeah, it's really, really terrible. And it just feels like the Environment Secretary and the government are kind of just like, la 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 la, just ignoring the fiasco. And you hear a lot of rhetoric of saying, we're going to crack down on this and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Lots of talking, but just no action when it comes to dealing with these water companies. And they've racked up so much bills. From this as well. They've left so much money, so much debt that these water companies have left themselves in, that we can't put them back into state ownership, because then we, the taxpayer, would be left with the bill as well, which is even worse thing to happen. So, I think one water company was like £70 billion in debt, something like that, which I thought was crazy. Now just imagine if we put that back into public ownership, we consumers would have to pay that back. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be putting our taxpayer money towards it because of something that water companies shouldn't have done. But in hindsight, water companies should ever have been put in the hands of private businesses, because they only have one intention, and that is to make money at all costs and do the barest of minimum when it comes to it. This is something that should be controlled by the state and should always be owned by the state. It's our water. It is our lifeblood. It is what we drink. It is part of our body. and yet we're leaving it in the hands of people who are only thinking about a cash cow machine. And it's just like, you just don't see the problem here. Like, to me, this is a problem. Yes, of course, these people getting away with bonuses, but that's not the crux of the problem for me. For me, it's changing the laws, and we do need to introduce new laws and some new policies where we force these companies to start paying back these debts. Because we need to put them in a situation where they not only provide a service, but they also are kept at a threshold of how much they can charge people for their water companies. And a percentage of money that they make must go back into waterworks. Not just repair and maintenance, but actually improving the water structure, such as Britain's Victorian infrastructure. So that way we don't pay out any more than we should have to, and that these companies who are supposed to be looking after our water system are actually looking after our water system. But I digress. Let's read what they actually have to say in this, guys, from Sky News. So bosses of water companies responsible for illegal sewage spills are to face a ban on their bonuses after years of campaign and public outrage. You can just tell how this feels. You can just see how this feels, doesn't it? The Environment Secretary Steve Barclay announced payouts would be blocked to chiefs who oversee the polluting of rivers, lakes and seas, starting with bonuses in the financial year starting this April. Why this April? Why not sooner? Why now? Why not sooner? It's because they're only doing it to appease. I'll tell you why. It's because it's an election year, that's why. It was revealed bosses received more than £26 million in bonuses, benefits and incentives over the last 4 years. £26 million in bonuses! Analysis by the Labour Party found 9 water chief executives were paid £10 million in bonuses, 14 million in incentives, and £603,000, 850 in benefits since 2019. Senior executives from 5 of the 11 water companies that deal with sewage took bonuses last year, while the other 6, including heads of Yorkshire Water and Thames Water, declined after public anger. Think of that £26 million in bonus. Imagine that going straight into fixing our infrastructure. But instead it's going into the hands of these executives. That money could go into fixing some of our water structures here in England. There has been outrage around the illegal activity and calls by Labour and the Liberal Democrats to enforce the policy sooner, as water firms in England plan to hike customers' bills by an extra £156 pounds a year to invest in Britain's Victorian infrastructure. See, this is the thing. Instead of them cutting back on their bonuses and pay, they want us to fork the bill, and that's the problem here. Do you not see the problem here? These companies are responsible for the infrastructure of our water systems. They are the ones who are supposed to maintain them, upgrade them. It's their jobs to be dealing with it, not us taxpayers. We already pay our share for the water bills, but they're asking us to fork out more to deal with problems that they have been in charge of while they rack in millions of pounds in bonuses. While Mr Barclay said he was pleased Reganelite Ofwat was addressing bonuses following water companies' poor performances, political opponents said the ban was too weak and freeable. It is too weak. Liberal Democrats environment spokesperson and MP Tim Farron said finally ministers have buckled into a campaign led by the Liberal Democrats over 2 years ago. But even now, this is an attempt to ban bonuses sound too weak and feeble. Mr Farron added that the firms got away with environmental vandalism and called for the bonuses to be banned today, regardless of criminal conviction. Yeah. It should be done today. Should have been done last year. Should have been done 6 months ago. Ofwat will consult on details on the proposal ban later this year, including to define the criteria. This can include successful prosecutions for the 2 most serious categories of pollution, such as causing significant pollution at a bathing site or conservation area, or where a company has been found guilty of serious management failings, according to the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. It could apply to chief executives and all executive board members. It could. No, it should. On the proposal, Mr. Barclay said no one should profit from illegal behaviour, and it's time that water company bosses took responsibility for all that. Yeah, again, like I look back on the fact that we put it in the hands of the private companies. In cases where companies have committed criminal breaches, there is no justification whatsoever for paying out these bonuses. It needs to stop now. Labour claim it was the spearhead for this change, with a statement from the Shadow Environment Secretary Steve Reed MP saying that once again Labour leads, the Conservatives follow. He calls for the Tories to back Labour's plans to clean up rivers and prosecute executives for responsible for illegal sewage dumping. Labour said under its plans Ofwat will have blocked 6 out of 9 water bosses bonuses last year. Last year, Thames Water, which supplies 1 in 4 people in Britain, was fined more than £3 million after pleading guilty to illegally discharged waste. This includes millions of litres of undiluted sewage near Gatwick Airport in 2017, which turned the water black and killed more than 1,000 fish. Here's the thing as well. So they got fined £3 million. That's not going to hurt them, guys. That's not going to hurt them. These are not going to hurt. Threatening them with jail is what's going to hurt them. This has been said by, I believe, by an MP or our House of Lords or peers in the House of Lords have mentioned this, is that they should be jailed. These executives should be jailed. The fear of going to jail for not managing the sewage. That's what should be on their hats. That should be on their head. It really should be on their heads of it. Like, there is no acceptable way for any discharge of... For me personally, we shouldn't be discharging any sewage. Any sewage. Now, I understand we have a system in place that... There's a system in place where a certain amount needs to be discharged. But the actual fact is, it's actually going to get worse if you actually think about it. Because for these sewage treatments to be actually to deal with the sewage and turn it back into water requires a lot of chemicals. And some of these chemicals obviously are very difficult to get and maintain. And considering our situation economically, as well, with something to do with Brexit, not some of those chemicals that we rely on actually comes from the EU. So they're actually going to cost the water companies a bit more in order to treat the sewage as well, because of those chemicals that we require in order to deal with the sewage, because we do require certain chemicals from the EU. Yes, we do get some from other parts of the world, but it's obviously next door makes it a lot easier for us. My personal belief is that we should not be discharging any sewage whatsoever. There should be no discharge of sewage at all anywhere. It should be treated and completely. There should be no discharges whatsoever. If we don't have enough sewage treatments, well, then these companies should put the money in their pocket and build more sewage treatment places. Look at proposals, talk to councils, talk to government officials about where they can build and where they will be less in the way of areas, sort of thing. If we don't have enough sewage treatment, then that's something we need to look into. Because I don't believe that we should be doing any discharges at all in any way, shape, or form. Even before the laws, even when we were in the EU and they could only release a certain amount, I don't think we shouldn't even be doing it then. But as far as this is concerned, obviously seeing those numbers on the bonuses that some of these people make makes me sick to my stomach. And then in Steve Barclay saying it's not going to come until April. Why? Well, like, it just doesn't. It shows just how little care they really have. And the thing is, after it comes in, they'll say like in the run up to the general election, we stopped the bans on the bonuses of these water companies. Yeah, only just a few months ago, not 2 years ago when the Lib Dems were screaming about it. So yeah, you can't take the Conservatives seriously, guys. But what do you guys think? What do you make of this? The water bosses facing bans on bonuses. Is it too weak and feasible? Does more need to be enough? Do you agree with me that there should be criminal prosecution on these water executives? And should they be the ones being forking out and actually fixing these problems that are happening with our sewage treatment? And should discharges stop altogether? Because I believe they should, but what about you? Do you think they should be as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you found this video interesting, guys, if you can, hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And if you want to financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or joining me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.